Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. So Conor Benn has weighed in a fraction heavier than Chris Eubank Jr. for their fight tomorrow night. Benn hit the scales at 159.3 pounds, while his rival Eubank came in at 159.1 pounds. So Eubank did not miss the weight this time as he did for the first fight. Is there any significance to Eubank Jr. weighing in less than Conor Benn? Not really. We're talking about minuscule amounts of weight here. Bear in mind, Conor Benn is going to make the weight very easily, whereas Eubank Jr. is going to struggle. Now, one thing I should point out here is that there are two weigh-ins for this fight, and it's a common practice which started in America, as I understand it, but they now do it in the UK as well, where they have the real weigh-in on the morning the day before the fight and a ceremonial weigh-in later that evening. The reason for this is to give the fighters longer to rehydrate. So don't be fooled by the way Chris Eubank Jr. looks on the scales at the ceremonial weigh-in in the evening, because that's him partially hydrated, not fully dried out for the real weigh-in, okay? So do not be fooled by that. He would have looked far more gaunt at the real weigh-in than he's looking at the ceremonial weigh-in, all right? Be that as it may, a lot of people have picked Conor Benn to win this fight based upon how bad Eubank Jr. looked after the first fight, the fact he was severely dehydrated, he went to hospital. Even though Conor Benn went to hospital as well, it would seem as though Eubank Jr. was in a worse way, certainly was more marked up, his face was swollen, etc., etc. And so based upon that, a lot of people are picking Conor Benn to gain revenge here because they think it's going to be just as hard, if not more difficult, for Eubank Jr. to make weight this time around, especially when you factor in the punishment he took in that first fight. But then you hear stories from people like Derek Chisora, and the Eubank team have kind of alluded to this without saying it explicitly. But Derek Chisora said that he heard, and he's quite close to Eubank, he heard that Eubank actually had some kind of flu or illness in the run-up to that first fight. And that may sound like an excuse to some, but trust me, people, if you've got something like that, it absolutely can be detrimental for your performance. There's no question about it. Anyone who's trained with a heavy cold or the flu, or even in the days after recovering from such a thing, you'll know that you're not 100%, that your energy levels, your strength are not what they normally would be. Now, obviously, everyone's different. Some people's immune system is stronger than others, and therefore such a thing isn't as detrimental to their performance as it would be for another person. But for most people, it's going to negatively impact your performance to some extent. Should we read into that with Chris Eubank Jr.? Is that part of the reason why he looks so tired and fatigued? Because when you have such an illness, it's typical for that illness to actually dehydrate you. You tend to lose weight. I certainly do whenever I have any kind of bug or whatever. I lose quite a few pounds, even though I'm just laying in bed or sitting around the house. At the end of the day, we can only speculate, but if that did impact Eubank Jr.'s performance first time around, maybe he'll be better in the rematch. And if he's better, I have to figure he's going to beat Conor Benn again. Conor Benn looks like he's more controlled this time, and he needs to be a bit more controlled, not too controlled. He's going to need that fire in spots. But in the early rounds, particularly round one, he was so wild against Eubank, it was almost silly. Missing shots all over the place, his balance was all over. He looked very novice-y. Whereas Eubank looked like the vet. His punches were far more cultured and controlled, and his technique was far more correct. So Benn's going to need to be a bit calmer this time, but not too calm, because that fire is actually what makes him effective. He just needs to channel it in the right way, not allow it to get out of control. I saw Ade's video the other day. I think he's picking Conor Benn, correct me if I'm wrong, and he thinks Benn is going to pace himself better in the early rounds and leave himself something for the later rounds where the potentially weight drain Chris Eubank Jr. might be diminished. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. Your reaction to the weigh-in, who you think's going to win, the rehydration controversy, all that. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.